to today's thought for the day. At the end of lockdown 2.0, and so the world has already opened up a little bit. The traffic was busier on the way in this morning, and it might be unusual for me to talk about this given that things have opened up a little bit now. But what I want to talk to you about briefly this morning is about waiting. And Advent is really about waiting and preparation. And so during this time, it's good for us to create the space to be able to reflect, to be able to wait. And if you look at the story of Moses in Exodus chapter 3, then you see that Moses is tending the flocks of his father-in-law Jethro in Horeb, and he's fled from justice in Egypt because he's killed an Egyptian slave master there, and he's spending a lot of time waiting as a shepherd out in the wilderness with the flocks. He had a lot of time waiting, and then all of a sudden we hear in the narrative that there is this bush that sets alight, and Moses is drawn to this bush because of two things. One, I think because of that God-given sense of curiosity in Moses that is sparked. Moses is a guy who notices stuff, and when he notices stuff, he can't leave it alone. You know, we saw that with actually the account of when he kills the Egyptian guard who is beating a Hebrew slave. He can't just notice and walk away. So he notices the burning bush that isn't being consumed, and he goes to investigate. But secondly, I think it is because of the space that was created, because there is this space in Moses' heart and life because of his time out in the wilderness that means that he's in a place in his heart to be able to go and respond. And I've been reading that today actually in a wonderful book called Lighted Windows, an Advent calendar for a world in waiting, by a lady who I know a little bit, Margaret Silf, who's led retreats that I've been on. She's done reviews for some of my books. And she talks about this particular encounter, and she asks some questions and she makes some points. She says, God's guidance attracts us, it doesn't coerce us. So that's the important thing this Advent time to understand as well, that God isn't going to coerce you into feeling Christmassy, or indeed to be struck again by the awe and wonder of the Christmas story, but God will, through that story, attract us to come and look afresh at it with new eyes. And that usually takes us by surprise. And we can be so used to a story that actually we don't get struck by it again, and we're not surprised by what we hear. But I hope for us as we journey through this Advent time, we are surprised by that. And so for us this Advent time, for us in this day, then I think it's important for us to realise that waiting creates in us a space where we can be attracted by God. That when we're so busy and we're so full of things, so full of ideas, so full of going to and fro to things, and there's always a temptation to overdo that off the back of a lockdown, is that we don't have the space in our hearts to be attracted by God. So today it would be great if you could just spend a few moments, maybe 5 minutes, just being still, just being quiet and opening your heart to God and allowing him just to draw you deeper and attract you deeper into that Christmas story. And the prayer that Margaret ends with today is, Lord, please help me to laugh with you about my own so serious planning, and let us move on together in the light of your surprises. I pray that might be true for us today. So God bless you today, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.